Hi, welcome back to Beyond the Cards. And today, my guest, it's my great honor to have my guest today, Emilie Muñiz. That's how you say your last name, right, Emilie?
Yeah, Muñiz.
Muñiz. And she is the author and creator of the Simplicity Tarot. I'm going to read a little bit about. I have it. It's one of my favorite card decks. I don't want to disparage any other of my guests because they're all my favorites, but this is a current favorite. I have this one at home, and I want to talk a little bit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Emilie first, and then we'll get started. But Emilie, as I said, is the creator of Simplicity Tarot. She's a New York native who first fell in love with tarot when she was a child and has been reading the cards ever since. We're gonna hear about that. Over 20 years of tarot reading experience under her belt, Emilie is a professional tarot reader and also teaches tarot reading to others. In addition, she is a creator of her own tarot card deck and a new project that she's working on for US Games. So great to have you, Emilie. Glad that you're here. And let's just get started. I'm curious about when you say that you discovered reading it as a child and you've been doing it ever since. Like, tell me about that. What did somebody in your family do readings or?
Well, what happened was my mom was really into espiritismo. That's like spirituality. And we had people always coming over to read for her, actually. She read, she always get her coffee cup read. So she will come, people will come over to the house, and a spiritualist came over to the house and read her coffee. And then she said, come over here. What do you see in this cup? And I was scared a little bit. And then she's like, just tell me the images, and what you perceive from them. And I did. And she told me I was accurate. And ever since then, it just opened up a big rabbit hole for me. And I just kept on. Then it was like cards, divination, tarot. And I just didn't stop. I was so fascinated with this. And I was like, oh my God, I have a gift. I can see it's actually, this makes sense to me. And I knew that it was something that I was supposed to be doing. It was so amazing. I just fell in love with it instantly. Yeah.
So really your first readings were coffee grinds? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, coffee grinds. Yep.
Yeah, coffee grinds. Mm-hmm. Wow. And that's amazing. Do you still do that? Is that something?
Yes.
Okay.
I do it. The way I do it is it's special because it's with a fire stove, right? So a lot of those technologies kicking in, so we don't have, those as much as before. So I do it, but it's harder to do because not everyone has, the fire stoves anymore. But they're my favorite type of readings, honestly. It's a whole experience, from beginning to end. Yeah. And it's very personal. Yeah, we burn the images on the inside of the cup. So it's very unique. And I haven't found a lot of people that still do it the way I do and how I was taught. Yeah.
Wow. So you grew up in New York. Where in New York did you live?
In Brooklyn, in Bushwick.
Okay. So do you feel like this was like I know this isn't a New York thing. I mean, I know people reading.
No, it's, I think, Puerto Rican and Hispanic culture, Latin, culture thing.
Yeah. Awesome. That's amazing. So after you had your success at reading the coffee grinds, which is so fascinating to me, what was the first card deck that you got? Like what did you get?
From US Games stuff. It's called the Witch's Tarot, the one from 007.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That was the one that and it was difficult to read, but I fell in love with that. I was like, I have to know what these mean, So yeah, I got that deck. I was in Astor Place, St. Mark's Place in New York. That's when I grabbed my first deck at. And I started reading with that deck, and the rest was history. Yes.
Wow. I love that. A lot of people started with the Witch's Tarot. Like that was a very, very popular deck.
It was so I was like, ooh, I want to be a witch. It was like mystical for me, right? I was like, ooh, I'm so interested. And then I started learning more and more and just keep using them. And again, I just keep buying more and more decks. So it's from US Games.
Oh, and so it's so funny because, obviously that's how we met, and you are now a U.S. Games author, and I want to talk about your, the steps that brought you down this path. But how did you come to? Emilie was a reader for us for many years when we had trade shows at the Javits Center. How did we connect with you to begin with?
Lynn discovered me.
Lynn,
I forgot how it was. I saw something on Facebook. I forgot, but I know it was. I connected with Lynn. She asked me where I lived, and I think she found one of my videos too, because I do a lot of YouTube videos, and the rest was history. It was, yeah. Came to the show, started doing readings for your trade shows in New York, and I just kept coming back. Yeah.
And I have to say that you came, and then people from the trade show would come back to look for you. Like after the first year that you came, then the next year, the different customers or other vendors would be like, "Is Emilie here?" So, you created this, you had this great reputation. Everyone was looking for you.
Yeah, I had a line. I was like, oh my goodness, I had not even set up yet. People were waiting there.
So as a testament to your reading, that was what I remember. And I want to tell the story. I mean, I don't want to tell it from my point of view. I want you to talk about how you created the Simplicity Tarot, which is such a great deck. I love it so much for many reasons. I'll share that after. But talk about how this idea got started for you. And did you ever think you were going to be a tarot creator, in that time?
I always wanted to. It was a dream of mine, like a dream since I was literally a kid. I was like, I want to create a deck, but I don't want it to be the experience so difficult the way I had it. For me, I was like, oh, this little white book. There got to be more than this little white book. And it was a lot of research I had to do for each card to kind of learn about it. But what inspired me, there's so many things that inspire Simplicity Tarot. It's just so many things. But I think I went with the idea. I was like, I want to create a deck. Then I was like, what do you think? You inspired me, Allison, so much. You have so many decks out there. And you gave me some tips. But what really kind of also narrowed down like what exactly I wanted to do, I was doing the trade shows with you guys. And a lot of people came up to us and was like, oh, I want a deck, but it's scary. Oh, but I'm never going to know how to read it. Oh, it's so difficult. And I was like, we need to make it easy and simple. So it could, everyone, and just like refresh it, modern images, so it could be more appealing and brighter. And that's where Simplicity Tarot came from, and make it simple for everyone that they can see it and be like, I can do this. Everyone can do this. Yeah.
Simplicity it's so Tarot. True. And it is. And in fact, my kids, my boys that are not young kids, they're young men. Sometimes when they need an answer to something, this is their go-to deck. Because
it's hard, and you're like, oh, okay, this is what
hard, and they don't feel intimidated by it, and because there's some keywords on the cards, they get the answers right away. So I just picked a card from the deck.
Oh yes,
yeah. So that's a great card for our get together today, the Six of Wands. But I just love, I love how you use the traditional rider-waite imagery. But it is softened, and that there are just a little keywords on the card so that, it's even people that are not familiar with, the suits and what each card means can have a little extra, I mean, this obviously looks like a positive, victorious card. He's riding in on his horse with this, but I do love that. And I love the, I just like the softness of the artwork, and it is friendly. It's very friendly and user friendly. So have you gotten that kind of feedback from people?
I get that feedback all the time. Or when but I want to learn, what is I want to learn tarot. What's the best deck? I'm like, get my deck. Get it. And I teach people with it. teens. A lot of teens are very drawn to me, so I'm like, let's just put the words together like compound words. Let's just draw 3 cards together and just choose one and come up with, what you think it means and what you feel. And you could automatically tell what it means by the feeling of the card as soon as you see it, So that was kind of my goal too. So to take out so much of the confusion and just boom, this means that. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And so it's interesting. So you were, when I met you, you were using, you would use whatever was new for us, card deck wise, and read with that. But you did have a deck that you had written on. Is that, am I remembering that?
Yeah. What I think it was the Sibylla. Wait, was it? I don't know. A few years ago.
But you had a card deck that you had written.
Yes. Yeah. I written on, I don't know which deck it was because I used several at that time. Yes. With the keywords and what they mean or translating it. Yeah.
So was that like, I've done this on this card deck that I'm using. I feel like that would be helpful for other people.
Yeah. And it was because at that time, that was the deck I was teaching my daughter with. Because I teach my kids tarot and divination. So to make it easy, I would write it too on it. So yeah, that's the deck. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you cultivating the family business over there? Yeah.
I want all of them to know how to read just in case, for themselves. Yeah. Because it's not just about predictions. Like my teen, she's 16. So she has so many questions of the universe right now, of everything she's going through. And it's a self-help empowering tool, Yeah.
I totally agree. And I say that so often to so many people when people approach me about the tarot and people about their fear or their reticence about, diving into it. And the first thing always for me is it's a self-empowerment tool. There's no need to push away from it. This like all the information is here for you, and it's for you to use for yourself, to go inside and to find the answers that you need. It's just a tool and a helper. It's much more than that. I mean, I don't want to go on and on about, what I think about, it's a collective consciousness, like encyclopedia. Really, it holds all of that. But I love that you're teaching your children, and my children are they have no choice over here. The same thing, just because it's just hundreds.
It's my life, so they're ready.
Go to the cards. It's usually what I say.
Go to the cards.
Let's pull cards, because if we're having a conversation and we can't get to the answer, we usually go, just let's pull some cards. Then we're going to get the answers that we need.
That's how it is here too. Like, it's like, Mom, I need a reading. You could do your own. I'll help you interpret it if you have like a hiccup, but let me see what you get. I'm interested too. It draws us even closer too, because I feel like she draws me more into her personal life at the same time. So
yeah.
It's a bonding thing we have as well. Yeah.
It is. It's a great bonding thing. I want to just talk about the creative process and how that went for you, because, from my point of view, I know how laborious that can be, and how much you have to dive into the subject that you are creating. And so I don't know that everyone knows. So you have a beautiful, you got a beautiful book that you did for it. Like you said, not just a little white book, but even in a book, this size, which, people would say, well, that doesn't look very big. There's so much that goes into writing the messages, and, you have to kind of become the card in a way, or get into the energy of the card.
Break it down. And I think I'm going to use the word challenging. The most challenging thing, which was pretty good at the same time, was I could write it from my perspective, but I had to write the book from a perspective of a brand newbie that had no idea of what tarot was, right? And make them comfortable and teach them step by step of how to read with the cards and open and then understand it. So for me, I could just, this means that, but they have no idea. So I had to take myself back to when I just begun. And I had to ask people questions that had no idea about tarot and see if they understood it and the book and if they could use it. So it was like trial and error. Took a few versions. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you kept going. So
Yeah. I kept going. It took me a few years. I'm not gonna lie to do this deck. But from all that trial and error, like then comes a new deck. I learned and it's easier and it's faster. But I kept going. I didn't let it discourage me. I took constructive criticism, and I knew it was just for the better good of the deck. I didn't let that stop me. Sometimes people do, right? I can't do this. I'm like, all right, I could do this better. This is helpful information. And I loved it. Yeah.
I have to say, I watched the whole process because I knew you, and I knew that you wanted to, create your deck, and I saw this process along the way. And, I am, privileged to see that for a lot of people, the process of the art that comes in, that kind of thing. But for yours, I just was like, Emilie I was so excited for you because I could see, just as you said, you took each piece of information and you just were like, I'm going to use this. I'm going to I'm going to integrate it, and I'm going to take that information as useful, and I'm going to, turn it around. And so when the final product came in, I mean, everybody in the office really was like over the top for the card deck for many reasons, because because we know you, but just because we saw what a beautiful unfolding or development it was. And then recently I was out in Tucson and I was in one of the accounts. It's a Bookman's, it's a multi-chain bookstore. And of course there was Simplicity Tarot. So I was so excited to see you out in the West.
It's like a dream, it's like something I've always dreamed of as a kid. And I'm like, it's actually here. It's like physical form of manifestation, like actually touch it now. And it was just so worth the whole process. It originally started off as a Kickstarter, but I was like, there's just other changes that I want to do. And I just kept going, making those changes until nothing's perfect, but you will get there, Yes. Yeah.
And that's really, I think that's a good thing for, all of us to hear and be reiterated that it's not a, A to Z, and then you're done. It's just like an evolution. It's an evolving process, the creative process.
It's art. It's supposed to change.
Yeah.
It's supposed to grow. It's supposed to be different. Not everything is the same as the next person. Don't be scared to be different. That's one thing, right? Because I think I was scared in the beginning. Oh, it's not like everybody else's. But I think that was the whole point, to do something. I wanted to make tarot accessible and comfortable for everyone who wanted to do it and welcome me, instead of, oh, this is just for a selective group, the advanced, you don't need psychic ability to read tarot. You could just actually shuffle and pull a card and you could get the information. That's how I wanted it to be, very welcoming and opening. Yeah. Yeah. Break the stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you tell us a bit about the art and the artist? How did you find?
So the dark art, he's from India. He's very, I could say a humble person. He doesn't like to really be his face out there, and I've always tried to, but oh man, we went through probably maybe even the Wheel of Fortune, maybe 6 versions of just that card. It was a lot of back and forth because he's in a different country, and I had to teach him tarot, literally, so he could understand the cards, understand what it means, so we could somehow then come together with the vision together. So a lot of Skype calls back to back for each card, and there's 78 cards. That's why it took me so long, just to get to a good communication, a good understanding, even the images of what I wanted. But we got it, So I think that's one thing. I think of the cards, I go with my artist to design them, and then we collaborate together. And that in this process is a long, trusting process, because you two have to be on the same page and have a lot of patience with each other, because there's a lot of back and forth, But yeah, I said I want something friendly, open. The first images were crazy. They were like bright, almost neon colors. And it was just, it was crazy. But we had a lot of patience, and we worked with each other, and we developed actually a really good friendship now over the years. Yes, really good understanding with each other. So you got to be close and have good communication. It's a must. It's just a must. Yeah.
I completely agree. And I love the diversity in the deck too. And especially that this is the cover. I mean, I think
that's the heroine. I said,
yeah.
I want to make the cover the Chariot, but it needs to be a woman. It needs to be a woman. It needs to be a heroine, because we are champions and leaders and successful, like woman power. It has to be. So yeah, that was my concept of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it, to your point, like, the art is very friendly, but then there's, the subtlety of the use of diversity in the cards, and some of the archetypes are, shifted gender and those kind of things. So it's very modern in that way. Mm-hmm. We don't have to be, everything doesn't have to be in your face to make its point, right? It can be, a little more subtle and still be, giving you that message.
I think diversity was really important, because everyone not everybody, but the tarot community is a mixture of different cultures, different religions, different beliefs, and me and the artist, he's Indian. He has his own religion, his own beliefs. The magician, is actually him. That's a self-portrait. That's why it looks so different compared to the other cards. So nobody knows that, but that's him.
Now we know.
That's him. It actually looks just like him. So that's interesting. I was like, well, if you don't want to put your face out there, make a card. Make it into a card of you. Like, just put it in there. So I was like, that's the perfect card for him, right? So we come from different cultures, different backgrounds. So diversity was something we wanted to do. It was just easy for us. Yeah. I
love that. Now we know, right? We'll know what he looks like.
Yes.
He's there. So this was completed. I know you did the Kickstarter, or this was in production. It's out now, and selling. It's all over the place. So it's amazing. People are loving it and using it, and like lots of really positive feedback coming in. How did that translate into what you wanted to do next? Like, did you feel like, oh, I'm good here, or I know how this works?
Okay, well, I know how this works. I know the process. I know the process. It could be easier now that I understand the kinks of it, the images and the quality. Well, that was a whole other story. But now I understand like the back end of it and the work. I wanted to do Lenormand because I've always been interested in Lenormand. And I feel that every time I say, well, I'm going to read with Lenormand. What is Lenormand? Like not a lot of people know what it is. So I was like, well, maybe I could do the same thing with Lenormand, Simplicity Lenormand. So I did. I designed the deck. We finished that project really quickly. Me and my artist, we already was on the ball. We was focused. It got finished really quick, that project. So I did the same thing with Lenormand. Right now, all the images are done and I'm on the book. So I feel like the book is the heart of it, right? That's what's going to make people understand what it is. And so that's where I'm at right now, just finishing up the book, but everything else is done. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And so for the listeners or viewers who are not familiar with Lenormand or Lenormand, two different ways, it's the same word. It's another divination system that is emanated out of France and is 36 cards. And the cards are a little bit more finite, right, in their description. So it's about the placement of the cards. Like the cards will usually always have the same. That's how I understand it. And it might be a little different in Simplicity Tarot, but the cards generally have the same, the dog is always the dog with the dog message, and the ship and the anchor and those kind of things. So I'm interested to see how that, and I have been trying to learn it myself. I go through periods of time where I'm like, I'm going to learn how to read with this. And then I give up because
I want to make it. I want to make it easy. I was like, if I made tarot easy, I could definitely make Lenormand easy because it's easier to read. It's more direct and very forward. Mm-hmm. And I think what makes Lenormand great is that you don't read one card by yourself. You read it with combination. So it makes it very specific and the information you're getting. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great project. I want to make it, again, something that anybody could pick up and read with and have a real clear understanding of what it means. Yes.
And is the style of the art similar, or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Okay.
Almost the same. Now it's just Lenormand. That's it.
Okay. Awesome. I'll look forward to seeing that and to hearing more about that. So how is this all fitting into your life? Are things changing for you, or,
a lot of things has changed. Before I was just doing tarot readings or teaching, online. And now I'm like, there's a lot of more room that I need to carve out just to work on my projects. Like, I'm an artist now. Am I an art? It's changed a lot. There's a title that I have. So it's just encouraging me to do more. I'm not going to say it's addicting, but it is. It feels really good. And I just want to keep creating decks. And that's something that I learned that I really love doing, to help people actually give them something physical to read with in divination. And it's changed my whole life. It's like, I'm an author, I'm an artist now. This is something I want to continue doing. It brings me happiness. It brings me a lot of happiness. So yeah, that's what I do. And even the writing process, that is something completely new for me. Like, I've always had the information in my head, but just to put it down step by step and break it down to teach is a whole other thing. It's writing a book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very interesting process, because I find sometimes I'll write a deck, and then after the fact, I'll go to teach from the deck. And then I have to rethink about how I'm going to teach some things that maybe are more complex concepts and just make them more translatable for, like, how does this fit into your daily life? How do I make this accessible to the person who's,
how do I write something and for another person to understand that they're not me, like in their stage of learning? Like, your mind has to really make things simple, and you got to put yourself in their shoes, another person's shoes, or where you used to be when you first started, learning that. So yeah, it's a whole creative process for sure. Absolutely.
Awesome.
And it's challenging at times, but it's very fulfilling. It really is, to know that you're leaving like a piece of work, a physical piece of work in the world for other people to use, so they could expand. It's a very beautiful thing. It's like giving birth to something, a new child. Yeah. Yeah.
It absolutely is. It is. And these are your babies. In addition to your other babies, these are your babies too, and it's a really good feeling. So I'm really thrilled for you. And can't wait for people I can't wait to see the next deck that's coming.
I'm excited about it. Like that one, I was like, wow. I feel like that just manifested. Like, out of thin air. It was just something that just went with the flow. It's going to complement, Simplicity Tarot, because there is a lot of people who use tarot and then they have other questions, right? And they want like specific details. So they throw out oracle cards or Lenormand to answer that. So it's going to just pair nicely with the tarot deck. So that's another reason why I created it, to pair it with it. Yeah.
So maybe then there's an oracle deck in your future.
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe.
So I've been asking all of the guests that come on, and I'll ask you if you have a special superpower. I know you already have superpowers because I know you're an amazing intuitive and just amazing all around human being and person. But if there's some special superpower you have, like a special skill or talent or something that people don't ordinarily know about you, if you would share that.
That people don't know about me?
That generally people don't know. Maybe your close people know.
I got to think about this one, Allison. Figuring out my comfort zone. Like, what is my special superpower? I don't know. I'm trying to think.
It could be that you can read coffee grinds in a mug.
Yeah. And burn images. Yeah. It's like that is a real special, unique technique. That it's fading. Not everybody knows how to do that anymore. They usually just put the coffee and then turn it over, but we turn it over on a lit stove and it's just the images burn on it. And it's just, and then you take it off and then you read with it. It's just so powerful, the use of fire. It's very unique. Yeah. But unfortunately, I don't know what other superpower I have. I think I'm just that down-to-earth girl from Brooklyn at the end of the day. Everyone could vibe to. That's it. That's it. Well, just a regular person. I think my superpower is that I don't give up. I really don't. I like challenges. I'm really ambitious about things. When someone's like, no, I can't do this, I'm always going to find a way. I think in my mind, when I want to do something, there's no way I can't. Even when I so-called fall, that's just giving me a new challenge of what not to do and a new way, a door how to do it. So that's how I am. And I think that's the key to success. It is. I just don't give up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So it's just great to chat with you, Emilie. And I really look forward to all the things that are coming down the pike. And I look forward to maybe getting you to read my coffee mug one day.
I would love to do that. I'm like, I would love to do that even for more people because it's just fun. Like you even got to make wishes while you're turning the cup before we put it over. It's like a book process.
We'll have to do an event together. We'll do an event together.
Yes.
Maybe we can
line up and start crying like they do when I do readings for them. I miss the shows because it was just very emotional and intense with everyone. I miss them all. It was a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. So, well, things seem to be coming back in person and in a new way, and so we'll look forward to reconnecting in person again. But this has been great. And thank you for sharing all about Simplicity Tarot, everyone.
And having me.
Yeah.
There you go. Get it in your local stores or online, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.